Welcome back to the EAHC podcast. It's episode number 22. As almost always, it's me, Josh. And I did have one special guest for today who's making his podcast debut. But thanks to what I believe is the first appearance fee, technically, not from me, before anyone gets any ideas. I'm not paying anyone money or meals to come on here. But I've got two podcast guests. So first of all, Tom Smith.
Hello.
I believe he started coming to our events last year.
Yeah, April last year. 5 Armies, I think, was the first one.
That's just not a bad one to start off with. So Tom is that when you started playing, or?
I started playing. Yeah, it would have been early last year. Mark Kempster's event in Bristol, the first one I went to. Cameron and Charlie, who also comes to the events, convinced me to go. So I'm about a year in now, still learning.
And he's already better than me. Anyway, and our second guest, who is a member of the Australian Arnicon team, and also has been shouted out on a much better podcast than ours, is Mr. Cameron Bell.
All right, how's it going?
Right, guys, Cam, I have to apologise for that. That was all Tom's idea.
That's fine.
Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is the event that I kind of ran at the weekend with a bit of an assist from Sam Page. So thank you, Sam, for basically doing my spreadsheet for me, because I mucked it up straight away. I hate spreadsheets. Anyway, so yes, we had the Not GT, which was essentially a one-day GT event, same format as the one at Warhammer World, but just on the Saturday rather than both days. And we had 30 players, so it's quite a big event for a local one. Obviously, you guys both attended, hence you being on here. First of all, how did you find the event? Is it okay?
Yeah, the event was absolutely awesome. It was great to see so many people, and as we put on the East Anglian group, such variety of lists as well. It wasn't power gamey at all. It wasn't pure fluff either. So it was really good balance from my perspective.
Yeah, this seems to be a nice mix of army, nice mix of people. I saw some familiar faces there. Some people that hadn't got GT tickets happened to be there. I mean, I only got sort of drafted in as a reserve anyway for this one. Just a few weeks before it started, because this one sold out just as quickly as the GT did.
Well, the issue we've always had with events at the Hut is, one, tables, which we've kind of resolved because Katie bought a lot more tables this year. And then two, there's only so much space in a scout hut. So I think we could probably get another run of tables, and we could probably go to 36 or double for teams. But then I think that would be it. That would be like the absolute sort of, max, unless we went into the side hall as well, I guess. But anyway, I'm already started on I've gone off, guys. It happens. You know, if I'm talking about stuff, it's going to go off into a weird place. We'll start with the YouTube spiel, because it does help. Actually, I would want to start off with a thank you, because over the last few weeks, we've gained a lot more subscribers. I say a lot more. I think it's about 10 or 11, but that is a lot for us. So thank you to the new listeners. Hopefully you will stick around and enjoy the content. So then, obviously, the normal YouTube stuff. Guys, if you like the podcast, I know you've only just started listening to it, but I've got some new guests on. So that's, if you just like Cameron and Tom, give it a like. That'll do. And anything you want us to talk about, as always, leave it in the comments below. And obviously anything that we discuss in the episode that you agree with or disagree with, again, write it in the comments below. These are only our own opinions, and we can't be wrong because they're opinions, but you can obviously argue the fact, and that's what the comment section is for. So let's have a positive debate in the comment section if you think we are wrong for whatever reason. So what we're going to start with is the army lists. So we'll do... it was good and evil, obviously. So we've got 6 army lists from the podium positions, and then we'll go through your army lists and maybe why you picked some of those things, whichever one of you would like to start first.
Yep, sounds good. So my army list was pretty straightforward. I always play Eagles, anybody who knows me. I had Radagast on sleigh with Sebastian, Gwahir, and 3 Great Eagles. As I'm so confident now, I thought I'd play 50 points down. Didn't go too well for me. But when you come up against a big dragon, what can you really do?
To be fair, mate, I watched that whole game and I thought, bar some incredibly unlucky dice, I think you should have won that.
I think at one point he had 11 lives left with Smaug, and I had about 36 dice to get a 5, and I rolled about 4 to get him down to like 7 lives. I was gutted, but it was super fun actually. But yeah, my evil list was Serpent Horde. Not as standard really. I had Zuladan, as you always would, and the Betrayer. But I thought I'd give the Golden King a bit of a run out, and I'm not sure I'll do it too soon again. It wasn't a massive success, but it was fun. When he did win a combat, he chops through things with ease, but winning the combat was the problem.
Is he only fight 4?
He is fight 4, yeah, fight 4.
Well, I guess because most good armies have some form of fight 4, don't they?
Yeah, well, first game was for me. I know it's jumping ahead a bit. Was Boromir with Guard of the Fountain Court going up to fight 5 and Rangers going up to fight 5, and then and the other game was Elves. So not ideal for some.
That's a shame because he's got 4 attacks as well.
4 attacks, 4 wounds, so pretty good. But didn't really see his full potential. I think I'd be more tempted to use him on like a blue on blue event where I could be playing evil. Then his special rule.
Yeah, because then you've got the special rule helps, and you've obviously got more chance of not fighting fight 4 apart from Black Numenorians, Uruk-hai, some Harad stuff. Actually, there's quite a lot of fight 4 evil, but you've got more chance.
Yeah, a lot more dice as well. But so it was tough. But it was fun to try him. Him with an army of African Guard looks pretty cool on the table as well.
Definitely.
Can you back him up?
Yeah, you can back him up. I can back him up on both bases, I believe. That's how I played it. That's how I played it anyway. That's a 6th attack.
Two spear supports.
Yeah, that's what I did. If I'm not supposed to, I'm sorry. But why not? 2 bases, I'm going for it.
It's the same base size, so...
I mean, sure. You've done it now, so...
I've done it.
If that's wrong, if that's wrong, Tom needed the dice. But if that's wrong, someone let us know. Yeah, I guess you're right. There's two African Guards. Yeah, it makes sense.
Worth a go. Cam, what did you take?
So I sort of play a mixture of everything. But this time I took Paths of the Dead, which I have played before, but sort of the lists I take when I can't be bothered to list build. So it's because it's just Aragorn, the King, and then how many warriors can I get in there? So it was Aragorn, the King, 26 Warriors of the Dead with shield and spear, and then 1 Rider of the Dead.
That's quite a lot of dead models for. I know it was 700 points, but
yeah, because everything apart from Aragorn causes terror, and then got that nice banner. The fight 3 hurts them, but the charging in and stuff really helps. So it's easy to play as well.
And if there's a river, you can just go straight over it.
You can, yeah. You just glide over it. Except Aragorn has to swim. Luckily, I didn't come across a river.
Or unluckily.
Yeah, or unluckily. Yeah. But then my evil list was I quite like playing with my Angmar, and I was trying to list build for that, and I couldn't decide which big thing to take. I didn't know to take the King, Gulliver, Barrow Whites. I'm not captain for that march. The Shades. I just couldn't decide. So what I ended up doing was just taking sort of all of them. So I took the Witch King with the crown, the blade, and a horse. That was 3, 14, 3. Mm-hmm. Gulliver, the Shade, Burda, and then 11 orcs with shield, 2 with spear and shield, and then 3 spectres.
I saw your list and I was like, it's interesting. It's not like optimal Angmar in any way.
No, not at all. I just wanted to use all of the stuff. I wanted to use everything.
I can understand why, and I think we discussed it while you were playing in one of the games actually. Like the potential of dropping Burda, keeping a monster by giving the Witch King a Fell Beast, and then you can either have more bodies or you could have 2 Barrow-wights.
Yeah.
Or 1 Barrow-wight, whatever the points difference was.
Yeah.
And because I was like, if he fights stuff, it's horrendous. Because even the orcs still have like the cover of the ship. There's not many of them, admittedly, but
No.
it was an interesting sort of, because whenever I had an Angmar army that I've just got rid of because I'm never going to paint it. I'm trying to minimize stuff so I can actually get armies finished and then buy stuff that I want again. He says, famous words of every wargamer. And my sort of theory is always maximize the amount of orcs that the shade covers, so you kind of get a front rank of 12. Is it a 6-inch bubble? So it's a 12-inch, 6-inch each way.
Yeah, and then you've got like middle section as well. So you can get an extra sort of 2 in there.
Yeah, so
like where he's
it's
sitting.
kind of like 12, at least 12 in the front, maybe 13, 14, and then a few spears, and then the other little tricks, and then sort of a slightly different. I think the Witch King's kind of got a couple of builds. Having used him as in a Mordor list, I have him as a very offensive build, so a variation of Fell Beast, depending on what you want. So the Horned or Armoured or just the normal one for just save the points, and then the Crowd, and then sort of 3-15 or 3-16-3, which I think is a very offensive build for the Witch King, because it's probably easily the best ring race for me now, anyway.
Well, I was going to say, with Tom's pie chart that I've got up here and his things, there was 4 Mordors and 2 Angmars. And I know there's 5 Mordors and 2 Angmars, and I wager there was probably all of them had a Witch King in. I could be wrong.
Pretty sure.
I'd wager that the Witch King was in at least 5 of them.
I'm not sure if Ben had the Witch King of his Angmar list. He very well may have.
I saw a Gulliver, so he might not have had the Witch King. But I reckon there was 5 at least.
That leads me on to, like, the Witch King has a medium build where you put him on a horse with the crown, and give him maybe a little bit more will, or you might not give him 3 might because he's going to be sort of just pumping out some spells, and there for when you break, he passes his courage test straight away and whatnot.
Yeah,
and then
the Angmar list,
the super spellcast support role, where you don't even give him the crown, you just give him all the will. But then I guess the crown kind of makes up for some of the will that you don't have because of the rerolls.
You would never not give him the crown, I don't think. I think the crown is definitely an auto include.
Yeah. Tangent again. But so it happens. But so I was very interested, like, as you all heard, it's a very hero heavy Angmar list. You won a game with it, I know that for a fact.
I did, yeah.
We'll discuss games in a minute.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah.
So the idea of your good list, Tom, is that just because you don't have another good army, or is that because you genuinely like just using those models?
It's just I asked for that list for my birthday last year, and it's justifying the amount of money I spent on it. Really.
You do like playing that. You like playing big hero armies.
Yeah, I like playing. I'm not one for moving loads and loads of models around. To be honest, I prefer big things. And it's, to be honest, I like adding variety to other people's games. And you don't see loads of sort of Radagast Alliance and Misty Mountain. So
no.
I think it just adds a bit to other people's experience.
I used to play it before it was cool.
Yeah. I've only been playing a year, so I can't help it. But also, one day all these power gamers will get used to the same list and they'll forget about something like my list that might end up being a counter. Who knows?
You had
ruin someone's tournament.
You had Raddy on Slay, right?
I did, yeah. I did.
Have you used him on Eagle?
I assume this was a jibe at the last team tournament where CJ absolutely trounced me when I had him on Eagle for the first time.
Do you know what? It genuinely wasn't. I forgot. But I was just going to ask which version of him you preferred. It wasn't a secret hidden dig at all.
Definitely Slay.
100% on Slay. Like, not even a question. I think if I could, I would beg Jay to make him 140 points and then 10 points for a horse. So it was 150 mounted, and then it would be perfect, Raddy on horse.
Have they took the horse version away?
No, but it makes it 160, and when you've then got Guahir at 150, it just makes it pretty implausible, really.
I was going to say, I've got him on a horse.
Yeah, it's just points-wise, it doesn't really make sense. You might as well take him on a sleigh for the extra attacks when.
Fair.
So yeah, on Eagle, less of a fan. There's just not enough magic, really.
It's just the lack of staff, isn't it?
Yeah, it hurt. I mean, especially going to the game I had with Smaug.
Yeah.
I burnt the will early to try and stop him getting charges, and then at least every turn I could get a little immobilise off where possible.
When you rolled a 3+.
Yeah, but with the Eagle it was just impossible. And in close combat you can still choose to strike him on the Eagle, so it just wasn't. I wouldn't do it again. Definitely not. Keep him on sleigh. But I would next time definitely sacrifice the extra Eagle for Guahir like I did this time, because the might is just so important for that list. So
because you still had 6 might. Yeah,
I did. The ironic thing was driving up there with Cameron. I was looking forward to playing Assassination. I was like, I hope we get it, because then they're going to have to get Guahir and he's my assassin and all this, and then I get the dragon and then
he draws Smaug at Assassination.
And then I was thinking, I really don't want something like Domination, where more. And then that's actually ironically the only one I did win of them. So
you already talk about your games. You already jumped in.
Yeah, I know.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that in a second. We'll go through the top 3 good and evil lists.
Yes. So we had, Kieran Hatterdew was first, and he was using his 2020 Rohan Legendary Legion, which is going to be the bane of many East Anglian players' lives this season, I feel.
Do you know what? I can't even blame him for using it. It's just so good.
Either. I mean, Cameron, you came close to him in the first one, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Well, I'll talk for this guy. I had to play it first round. So it was. I'll go through it. So it was Dernhelm, Dealwine, Elfhelm, Gambling with banner, Theoden, Aemir. So what's that? 6 heroes. 6 heroes if it's Merry and Eowyn. That together.
And obviously Theoden.
Pardon?
Theoden, obviously.
Oh yeah, Theoden's in there as well. Yeah. And then it was that legendary legion, so he gets that death call. And then there's a smattering of royal guards in there, so let's count them up quick. I think it was 2 in each. Was that 8 royal guards in there?
I don't know. I haven't got the lists to hand.
I've got it in front of me, and just a quick total up. I think it was 8.
Oh, okay.
So and 8, just sort of 2 in each warband. So it's a heavy hitting army.
I know he's used it
everywhere.
I know he used it at a local event, and actually one of the games he played, he killed like 24 orcs in one round of combat. Yeah. It's horrendous. The heroes just plow through stuff, and then the Royal Guard do as well, because they go up to fight 5 and strength 4.
Yeah,
it's so grim. It's really good.
Yeah, it is really good. I've come across it quite a few times and just been mowed down by it every time.
If you're going to play Rohan, I arguably don't know why you would play anything else, to be honest.
I think the normal Rohan build isn't as good as this one.
No.
Considering you can pretty much get everyone you want in this list, like you wouldn't take normal Rohan over this.
No, definitely not. There's no point. There's literally no point.
No.
At least we now know why Cameron took his hero heavy Angmar list, I suppose.
I mean, it worked.
With the draw a couple of days early.
Well, I didn't know what he had.
No, obviously, yeah, because there was no list submission, so no one chose to put. Obviously, in the East Anglia events, if lists are submitted prior to, then people will post up their lists on the event page, and kind of you get a little bit more of back and forth with the banter. But because I was so busy the week before, I just didn't have time to check 60 lists. So
yeah,
it was what it was. And obviously, again, tangent. What was his evil list?
I
know what it had. Shagrat, Witching on a Fell Beast, Shelob, some Black Luminorians, and some spears of some description. Maybe Morannons, maybe Orcs. I can't remember.
Looks like Orcs, I think.
Looking at the list now,
yeah, it was Orcs. He had normal Orcs and a few Morannons in there as well.
Yeah. It's a very different Mordor build actually. It's very interesting because I know he originally wanted to go for like a Kirathungel theme, but he just couldn't get hold of the Mordor Uruk-hai in time because they were out of production. They were not available for ages. And so he went with some sort of like Black Numenorians instead. It kind of works. It's a similar sort of theme. But I think any Wraith, as I tried last year, and haven't really tried since, just because I haven't had an optimized points level to try it. But any Wraith with Black Numenorians is pretty solid.
Yeah. Thoughts on Shelob, Josh?
I've used Shelob before in the past, way in the past. But I think with the current, obviously because the event was random scenarios, I think having the ability to fly with the Witch King, and then having a model with the ability to just traverse all terrain no matter what. She's maybe not the best in an attacking sense, but also people don't really know how to play against her.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like it's almost like having a. It's just I always talk about triple threats when discussing lists. So you've got Shagrat, who's very very good on foot, and you've got the Witch King, who's very scary on Fellbeast, and then just having that model that can move 10 inches, potentially heroic combat. If she finds one model to kill, she'll win a fight against, or adding her fight value into a fight with the Witch King or something. It's definitely a very interesting choice. And for her points, which she's not overly expensive. I mean, I don't think you could include her in, unless you were going really cheap Orc Chaff, you probably wouldn't have her in anything less than 600. But I think for the 90 points at 700, and then you just add in another Spearman or another Black Numenorian, I think it's very interesting. I think it actually won him a game. So, no, that was the Witch King. But yeah, no, I think she's not likely to run away. She's not using her will to resist spells or anything.
Yeah, no.
Obviously, if she gets wounded, she's got 6 will and she has to pass a courage test. I also think she's courage 4
or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty high for a evil model.
It's pretty high.
So it's very unlikely. I mean, average on 2 dice is 7, so it's very unlikely that she'll fail a courage test anyway. And she's got a 6 will to. The only thing is that it's the 1 attack base and the 2 when she charges, but she does knock down and she does reroll wounds. So if you do win a fight and you knock down the model you're fighting, you will get 4 chances to kill it. So it's pretty good.
With that 10-inch move and being able to travel over all terrain as well, she can definitely hit a shield wall line and then just lob a guy through all the rest of them.
The example what I used when it was in the previous edition of the game, but we had a Blackgate / Kirathungel themed doubles list. So my partner had the Troll Chieftain, I had Shelob, and we were playing dwarfs in the I think it was the final game actually, and we took Shelob at the end of the line. She strength 7, and Hurl was better in the previous edition.
Where you could choose, yeah.
Yeah, so she went to the end of the line, fought one dwarf, hurled it down the whole line, knocked all their heroes over. The Troll Chief went in, killed all of them, pretty much in like 2 rounds, and we won the game. But so again, nice. She's very very good, but she's very, I guess she's almost like a queen in chess. So she's very very good, but you have to play her very strategically.
Yeah, maybe more like a bishop.
Yeah, probably a queen.
The Witch King is definitely a queen.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Or a knight. She's got her limitations, but if you get it right and if you used her a lot and you really knew how to play her, I think she's a really good addition to a Mordor army or a Barad-dûr army.
Yeah, Barad-dûr as well.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think she's very good, especially in the Mordor or a Barad-dûr army. She definitely has she's basically like an objective grabber, and then or a line destroyer. You can just hide her behind the line. As soon as the line hits, you can run her around anywhere, get something.
Yeah,
I think she's awesome for that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, that will, she's not running away. Even if she does take a few wounds, she's not going anywhere. So she's got 6 wounds, and then
6 wheel. Yeah, it's just a more reliable cavalry model, basically.
Yeah, and because like he had Kieran had a Warg Rider in here as well.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about his list, and I was like, probably don't even need that Warg Rider because you've got Shelob to do all that stuff. And he was like, oh yeah, but if Recon comes up, then at least I've got 2 things off basically, or dismounts,
or 3,
and then 3, yeah. So I was like, oh fair, but just good thinking over the list. So yeah.
Yeah. Tom, you played Shelob before?
Never ever, never played with, never played against. To be honest, if I'd have come up against that list, I'd have absolutely crapped myself because
she's also strength 7, so
you can't even do that.
No.
I'd have been in a bad way. But I think you're just so focused on. I mean, I'd have been more focused on the Witch King and more focused on Shagrat that she would probably have torn pieces through me had I.
But I think that's the thing of that list. Like, I think Tom just nailed it. Basically, you've already got to deal with a Shagrat and a Witch King on a Fell Beast, which is horrendous. And I can't remember his exact layout of Might, Wind and Fate, but it would have been 3 high number 3 with the crown. So the Witch King's already really reliable as a leader, and then you've got Shagrat, who's also really good at killing pretty much anything because he's really good for his points. And then you've got a terror causing front rank and Shelob. It's grim. It's pretty solid.
That terror causing front rank definitely is handy.
So that's his two lists. The good list, I think he's already won. He used it for the league opener, which he's won, and he used it at a local event in Hockley, which he won, and he's used it at the Not GT, and it's won. So
he won't be putting that away anytime soon.
We can kind of guess what Kieran might be championing for the rest of the year. Also, I guess what we should mention is that he actually won the whole thing by VP scored, which was the 3rd tiebreaker. So fair play to Kieran on that. The person who came second
poor Johnny.
by 1 VP less scored was Johnny, who also went 4-0. I think they were the only 2 people to go 4-0.
Yeah, they were.
So Johnny, I believe, had a Minas list.
I was gonna say that's a good segue.
Yeah, Boromir with his banner. So I played him first game. And that was awful to play against. He also had Madril, I believe, and Faramir mounted. So you kind of had like a Faramir warband with lots of knights.
Yep.
And Boromir with, I think, was quite a fair few Fountain Court.
Yeah.
And Madril with his rangers was the kind of build.
So lots of fight for cavalry.
5 next to
fight 5 with the banner.
Bozza.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Cavalry.
Shield walls.
Normal shield. See, someone actually, I think we'll get into it a bit later. But I haven't played them for a long time. I hold my hands. Actually, I haven't played them at all in this new edition. But I love Gondor. I think they're so versatile, and they have so many. They're very much like a Swiss Army knife of Middle Earth armies. They're like a jack of all trades, master at none. They're really good at. They're good at everything, but they're not really good at anything.
I very much enjoy playing with Minister. They're my go-to sort of good army.
I am gonna dust them off at some point this year and get them out of retirement. I literally played them for a full year, my first year in the GBHL, and I think I must have went to like 12 events. So I used them a lot, and I kind of burnt them out because I just used them so much for like the first 2 years I played SBG. But I really do. I need to get a lot of the newer models because I haven't got them yet. Just because I haven't been using good armies as much, I've kind of fell foul to pirates and Harad and all sorts of things in the last and Mordor all year last year. So definitely want to get them back out. But that's someone we'll go into it more later. But I think it was a solid list. He had good numbers. It had everything, right? Like big, scary. The only issue with the Bozza banner, and I understand everyone takes it, I just think it hurts his killing power too much.
Well, I think the actual GT list that won, I believe, Jasmine's, hers didn't have a banner.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't take it with a banner either. I have a lance because more reliably killing stuff, but maybe that's just because, especially in good and evil scenario, fight 4 is high enough.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
If it's a blue on blue scenario and you've got to maybe play elves elves, then obviously you might want to go to fight 5. But I think for the points, I know is it a 6-inch banner?
Yeah, 6-inch now. It used to be 3.
I mean, it's kind of worth it because it's a banner, and if you don't buy a banner, it's actually a banner, like Suladan's, which I love.
Yeah.
And obviously it gives the fight value bonus. It's really good, but it's also really expensive.
Yeah, it's 50 points?
Yeah, because I was contemplating... actually, cancel that. Lists haven't been submitted yet. I was contemplating using Boromir at a event this year, but I couldn't include the banner because it makes him too expensive for the restrictions of the tournament.
Oh, the 350.
Yeah, so I had to play something. I had to play something else because I really just wanted to. I think the list was Boromir, banner, and like 10 Knights of Minas Tirith, and I couldn't do it because it would have been cool, right? It'd just been a cool list, but obviously I couldn't do it because I couldn't do the same thing with Aragorn because again he's way too expensive.
Yeah.
Or Gandalf because he's also way too expensive. So yeah, I had to scrap that and just pick an evil army instead. But yeah,
I've gone for that thinking, just a tangent. I've gone for that thinking for the 350 one actually, but mine's evil and about that many models.
What, like 11?
Yeah.
Oh, speculate below.
Yeah.
What we could do is do a review. I would do it. I would do my list now. I know I always do, but they haven't been submitted yet, and someone might tailor. I don't think they would, but they might.
Mine's more fun than anything, but yeah.
Well,
they can speculate in the comments if they like.
I missed the league event at the weekend because I didn't play in it, so I need a couple of good scores for the finale.
Oh, last weekend was my first one, so I've got to go for a few later on in the year.
You've got a 12-0, and you've got what was your other win?
12-1.
Yeah, so
you're there already.
your scores are already way better than mine, and I've got 3 wins already. So,
oh, sorry.
yeah. Anyway, so that's Kieran's good and evil. Johnny's good and his evil list. Well, I think if you know Johnny, you know what his evil list was, but specifically,
in a twist, it was Isengard.
Shocker.
With Lurtz with a load of Uruk-hai. There's a banner in there, and I think it's 7 with pike and 7 with shield. I think you had Vasco 12 with crossbow, a captain, and some berserkers and a few warp riders in there as well, and then a ballista for a good measure.
Do you know what? It's such a good list. Looking at it, it's got everything.
It's just like his first list. He just goes for a really solid list that will do well in those things.
It lacks a big choppy hero, arguably. Lurtz isn't bad. I don't think Lurtz is bad at all, but he kind of falls foul of that mid-tier good hero, but not great hero.
Well, that's what Isengard in its doesn't it?
I completely agree. That is their biggest, their only weakness, really.
Yeah.
In my opinion, fight 4, strength 4 across the board. Apart from the Warg Riders, I guess, but they're strength 4 because of the Warg, so you just lose the fight 4, but they get the mobility. So yeah, I think I only watched. Did I watch 2 of Johnny's games? Or I say watch, I didn't watch the whole game, but I think I walked around the hall about 60,000 times on Saturday, and just watching a couple of Johnny's games here and there. He's used to Gondor a lot this year. He really... I think someone asked a question on the GBHL the other day, and it was regarding using multiple lists or sticking with one list and really honing it and learning its ins and outs and what's good about it and what's bad about it. And I think Johnny's done that really well with both of his armies that he's now kind of using a lot more. He may have other armies. I've only ever seen him play the 2, but I think he's really, really good at Isengard, and I think he's now really good at Minas Tirith as well.
He was very good at Minas Tirith.
Yeah, well,
he
played
him.
Yeah, first game was Minas Tirith, and it was when you said about Boromir with the banner losing his killing power. It was just he'd just have his whole line in my face, and Boromir was just behind, and anything that tried to sort of flank and go round, Boromir would then just mop it up and use his might to get back in position. He could just afford to waste it to get back in the middle again. Yeah,
I mean, the great thing about that is you've still got Faramir, you've still got, is it Madril you said?
Yeah.
So you've still got 6 might if you don't have Boromir near the front rank. You've still got enough might there to heroic move or whatever you need to do, sort of thing.
12 might's quite a lot as well for 700 points.
12 might. I mean, 6 might.
Well, no. As in, like, he then had Madril and Faramir, obviously.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
I know Kieran's one had even more, but.
Well, that's just because Annie gets more back every. It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, back to the Isengard list. Yeah, it was a good list. I would have had more Berserkers personally, but
definitely more Berserkers.
He came second on VP scored. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it just had everything. Maybe more Berserkers, arguably. They're always, but then I think if you have more Berserkers, you lose.
You lose the numbers.
You lose board control a little bit because of numbers.
Yeah, but I still rate the list.
Oh yeah, it's really good. I think the last game was tailored for that army. I know it was
very
rolled,
good,
but it was Storm the Camp, and although he was playing elves, like his opponent had to cross the table.
Yeah, with that ballista that could shoot 96 inches or something. So.
I think it's 48. I think it's limited, the Uruk-hai one. But even so,
I thought that one was like ridiculously big still.
No, I think it's 48. It might be different in the Legendary Legion.
Oh, I don't know.
But Johnny was telling me it's 48, and that's still a whole board. Most games are played on 4x4, so it's still far enough. But yeah, with having 12 crossbows, Rascu, and a blister, and he got a wound early on the enemy leader, he could just afford to just sort of have some of his models go one way, some go another, the Wild Riders go another, and then still have a solid sort of defense in his camp. Good armies.
Yeah.
And then,
I was gonna say, do you want to talk about the one that came third? Because
they're very different.
Similar. Yeah, I've only just seen them because I didn't actually see Kieran's armies, and I just looked at them now. And they're actually
they're similar in terms of what they are, but the composition is very different.
Yeah.
So it's another
Ministry of an Isengard.
Yeah, it's another Ministerieth, and he actually played the Uruk-hai Assault Legendary Legion.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah. So he had the special captain. I don't know if he had any bombs.
No.
Didn't, I don't. But I think he had 2 banners though, but no bombs.
Yeah, he's got 2 banners in there.
Where's the full list? So Uruk-hai captain of shield, Uruk-hai captain of axe.
The buffed up captain was the one with the shield. So 3 attacks, 3 wounds, 10-7.
He had a shaman, 8 berserkers, so more like Cameron's list.
Yeah.
12 crossbows, 2 banners, 12 pikes, and 7 shields.
Now, I know Kieran picked that on the morning of, which makes it even madder that he came third. I think it's testament to him as he doesn't play enough events. I've been saying that to him for like the last 2 years because he's a really, really good player. When we talk about his good list, you'll be like, how did he come third with those armies? But he did. So, again, it was random scenarios, which kind of helped. But I think his evil list was still like, 40 models nearly?
It must have been 12, 24.
Yeah, 40.
About 40 exactly, nearly.
Yeah, 40,
which is,
44.
to have that many crossbows, that many berserkers, maybe not the best heroes, but I think the buffed up captain certainly helps.
Yeah, I think Jasmine would agree as well after the GT event.
Well, yeah,
with it.
Yeah. And talking of Jasmine winning the GT event, he done a really good article regarding
siege engines
and the bombs and whatnot. So what I'll do is I'll find a link to that on the GBHL and I'll put it in the comment section for anyone that hasn't read it yet. It's really, really good. And then Kieran's good list.
Oh dear, I've just lost
it. Boromir with the banner.
Lots of knights.
Faramir with horse, shield, no lance, because he used the Faramir Captain of Athelion model, which doesn't have a profile anymore, unfortunately, because it was really good. And then he had maybe 9 Citadel guarded bow or 6 on horse.
Yeah, so we've got it up, and it's 8 Citadel guards. So yes, 15 knights, 8 citadel guards on horse with longbow.
And a Baragon?
Baragon on horse.
Yeah.
No, it's that. It's got a lot of hitting power. A lot of fight. You got fight 5 on citadel guards, and you got fight 4 on the Minister of Knights, and obviously the Minister of Knights will have lances. Yeah,
and 10 models with bodyguard mounted.
Yeah, so they're not going anywhere. That's when with Bozza as well.
Yeah. But it's not the conventional list in. I've played the list before. I played Kieran at a tournament that Sam was actually running, ironically, at the pub a few years ago. And I played against the all-mounted Ministerial list, and I was like, surely it can't be that good. But it actually, with all the synergies it kind of has, because you still have 10 strength 3 bows with Baragon's bow and the Citadel Guard, and then you've got all of the knights. So and obviously having the fight value bonus from the banner, and then the Citadel Guard have fight 4 anyway. It's really kind of quite good actually, especially with I think the new scenarios help because a lot of them require decent numbers, which that had. It's like 27 models, which is fairly decent, and then they all move really fast, and you've got 10 might still because of the heroes that are in it. So
I quite like that list. Were they all converted up, the Citadel Guards?
Yeah, so he basically took knights and then chopped off their shields, or didn't give them the shields, chopped off their lances and gave them all sort of like bows. That's very similar to what they haven't got cloaks. I think he hasn't got round to giving them cloaks, or you can tell they're not normal knights because they all have bows. So it's fairly obvious as to what they are.
But it's all conversions.
They're all converted. They all look really cool. It's definitely a very simple conversion. It's very cheap to do. You literally just buy a pack of bows off of anywhere and chop the lances off, drill the hands out, put the bows in, and green stuff yourself some cloaks if you want. And it's a really easy way. I actually need to get another Baragon because I want to stick him on a horse, but.
Well, you can get him now, can't you? He's back again.
Is he?
I think he comes with something now. I think.
I'm gonna have a look.
Have a quick Google.
I think he's definitely. I think he's back. I think I saw him when he was back. But I think maybe he's like with 3 of them now. There's a Madrill and Tyrion maybe.
That's the issue because I have them all. So
yeah. No,
if it's cheap, if it's still cheaper than buying him by himself, it's probably worth buying. But. So they're the lists that were the top 3, and your guys' lists, obviously. Did you want to go through? Someone actually asked regarding the scenarios. Did you want to go through your lists and what you looked for to win the scenarios that we had on the day?
When we rocked up.
Well, obviously we didn't know. You knew what the first scenario was because I did it on the scenario draw.
Oh yeah.
On the pairing draw. God, I'm looking at the GW website and getting very distracted. Men really can't multitask very well. So given the you knew what the scenario was for the first game, and obviously you had your lists, and what was it that you? Let me just find Sam's question specifically, so I word this a lot better. Sorry, guys.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on the key tactics for each of the featured missions.
Yeah, so given the lists that you chose to take, and then now having played the scenarios, what was it that you tried to do with your specific lists to try and win those scenarios? I think I finally worded it somewhat okay.
Nice.
Definitely. So what was the first one again?
First one was Capture
and Control.
Yeah. So the first one, Capture and Control, that was against Johnny's Ministerial actually.
Right.
And he deployed right on the line, right down the middle, as you
would.
And I didn't roll well and had to deploy within 12. And when you've got a heavy bow set up an army, that was less than ideal. So it kind of started off with, let's try and take away these horses as quickly as possible. And actually managed to take down four four of his horses and one of the riders in the first turn.
Nice.
And he looked slightly panicked at that point. But I think rather stupidly, I tried to get a couple more rounds of shooting in, just to justify bringing the Betrayer and all the bows. And he was just on me and anchored round a couple of bits of terrain. I thought that with the African Guard I could punch through, but he kind of put Boromir over the one side with his Fountain Court, and they didn't struggle to hold up the African Guard.
Out-fought valued you and then killed you on fives.
Definitely. I did have 4 cav, which I kind of sent round the back, and they got away. And at one point it was looking slightly closer, but he used Boromir to mop them up. He used all of his might to combat and kill them, at which point I thought I could probably strike and punch through Madriel and the Rangers, but he held me back really well. You can tell he uses the Gondor a lot, so he just pinned me back, couldn't get around the sides, and he took three of the markers, and then one was contested, and he's probably got nightmares about not being able to beat the Betrayer with one attack, because I think that would have won in the event, ironically, last turn.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Madrill and Friend, all they had to do was to beat him and make him back away, and that was it, but couldn't do it.
Oh, wow. You could have just backed away in a scummy way anyway, so maybe...
I actually put him... I only just reached the objective marker.
Right.
So if I was to back away properly a full inch, I would have been off it. So. Right,
fair enough.
Play fair. But it was pretty standard, really. Let him come to me, shoot him down, and try and get around the sides. But
the issue is when you're shooting down Defence 7 models, it's not easy.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy.
You took out all his knights, didn't you?
Took out all his knights early, yeah.
Yeah.
I was feeling pretty good about myself first couple of turns, but I think I kind of ran out of time as well. I think I didn't have an appreciation of how long it would take to get through his lines.
I think you just had a lack of Corsair crossbows, mate.
Honestly. Ironically, Charlie, he's brought me a couple of the Corsair heroes to try and convince me to go down your pirate route.
You have to. It's like the only way.
Maybe.
Actually, if you start playing, I'll probably stop. So.
Well, you're so good at it. That's probably incentive.
I'm not. I've played them twice. I've played them at 2 events.
You've won both times, didn't you?
Just because they offer so much versatility, having Suladan with a full warband, especially at 500 points. Suladan, I had 17 models, and then Dalamir, I had 18 models. So I had 35 models plus the 2 heroes. They're just so good. I loved them so much. But yeah, I mean, actually having Defence 7, that wouldn't have really helped you anyway. But
quick question: did you try and shoot Boromir's horse out from under him, or do you have him back behind like 3 lines?
He had Boromir back behind a lot of Fountain Court.
Do you have any accuracy in that list? Like heroic accuracy? No.
Because I mean, I was next your game, so that would have stopped him coming all the way back and getting here, there, and everywhere.
I don't think so. But he kind of ran Faramir and the mounted section at me just to sort of get board control, really, and got all the other rank behind them.
Could you see Boromir?
I could see him after a couple of turns, but
with the Betrayer.
Yeah, he just kept him so far. No, because Boromir started the other side of the board.
I could see
the Betrayer on horse
at the end.
Betrayer was on horse, yeah.
So you're following around with some black darts, but then his Betrayer's so bad at casting black darts.
He is so bad, and he would have absolutely chopped through my little shooting force if I'd have left them Betrayer guarded. So.
Do you feel like we're going we're dissecting Tom's list at this point?
Yeah.
Do you feel like having the Betrayer and having to keep him with your archers hurts your list more than helps it? What I mean is it takes away the flexibility of the list a little bit.
If you'd have asked me after James's Gang of the Shire last year, I thought it was a real strength.
Right.
After this weekend, I think it probably did hurt it a little bit, and I might change up how I put archers in each warband.
Because when me and Kieran played the Strider Cup, we obviously won it, but having the Betrayer was really good because his shooting was awful. Actually, having the betrayer was good for the spellcasting aspect, but that was it. I don't think, and Kieran would agree that it was my crossbows and throwing weapons that absolutely carried us into some of the scenarios. He'll say that as well. He'll completely agree with me. And then it was Suladan that absolutely carried us in other scenarios. I don't know if I would ever justify. I'd rather have the Knight of Umbar, and he's awful, genuinely, just for the combat threat that he does have. I don't know. I don't play Harad enough. As I say, I normally just play the Umbarian Serpent Horde, as I've fondly named them, just for the 6-inch banner of love. It's pretty much why I take Suladan and a warband. But yeah, I just wondered if, having played it for a little while and played it at a few events, what your thoughts were on the Betrayer, basically.
I think probably in future events, the Betrayer is probably not going to make the cut, but that's purely because there's going to be a load more marching camels making an appearance in East Anglia. And
we don't need more. We don't need more of those.
Always need more camels.
I think the Haradrim are good on when it's evil versus evil, because then you've got such low defense of the evil armies, and you've got re-rolling everything with that poison special rule. I think it's handy there, but when it comes to the good armies, unless you're playing. I'm not
suggesting that it's not a good. It's not a good build, because I know it is. It's one events. I think it's one events in the GBHL. I know that I think CJ won an event with it last year. I'm not suggesting that it's bad. I'm purely just asking,
Yeah, we would take
your opinion, sort of thing.
The real weakness of that list was the African King, to be honest.
Yeah, because how many points is he?
I think he's 130.
What would you take instead, though?
I mean, even having some chieftains there or something for like was it?
What about Raza? I like Raza.
He only comes in the Legendary Legion, Raza.
No, you can't take him normally. No, you can take him normally.
You can take him normally?
Yeah,
okay.
Because I played against Raza again at Shrider Cup, and he absolutely ruined me. He's really good at killing troops and stuff. And he killed Dalamir in one round of combat. Not Dalamir, Dalgamar, sorry.
I never noticed the difference in those.
Because that was his
same difference.
That was his target, so he goes to higher fight value, and he just absolutely and it absolutely battered him. I was like, oh great! I mean, that's my 75-point model. I'll just take it off the board now. But yeah, that was interesting. I mean, I just kind of fishing. You'll notice that if I bring people on and ask them about lists, I'm fishing for information. Because obviously I've started painting up some African Guard myself, and I've managed to acquire a load of normal Harad guys that I need to strip and repaint, but I'm not going to get the Betrayer. Right. Where were we? Your first game, Cam.
Well, I was actually coincidentally versus Kieran.
It was.
Kieran
Hatton.
Who coincidentally obviously came first. He deployed with his Rohan Legendary Legion. He started off I think it was 7 or 8 inches back to make sure I couldn't get him if I deployed on centre line, which obviously I was going to do because I don't have any shooting.
Well, you could. You fly 12.
I could, but I chose not to. We didn't even roll. We just both deployed because we know we're going to be within that 12-inch front zone anyway.
I actually think sorry, tangent. I actually think your list was a very hard counter for his. Which, as you go through the game by game, blow by blow analysis probably is almost very true. But carry on. Sorry.
That's all right. So we started off on I played sort of everything on the 12-inch line. Mm-hmm. I sort of in between a tree and some ruins. I managed to get sort of all 11 orcs with shield there. Mm-hmm. Problem with that was then obviously my Witch King and Birdo were both behind the line. Mm-hmm. And then in a good one's got flies, he doesn't mind.
No.
But, so anyway, first it happened, and I lost priority, which I wanted, which Kieran didn't want. But he was like, well, it's going to happen anyway. So he just charged everything in with his heroes. One failed to charge in because of my terror, because I'm causing terror everywhere, because of my shade and my the special rule for the army. And then I then sort of hopped Gullivar over. He made he made a ring using terrain and his riders made sort of ring, so I can get into any of the heroes straight away.
Right.
So I went on to 2 riders. Anyway, he then obviously called Death.
Yeah.
I went through most of my orcs. He broke me within that first turn of combat.
Yeah.
But then I also called over at combat and managed to get those 2. Went to Aemir, then the Aemir and Merry Model charged into Gullivar, and then he ate both of them.
He's so good.
Yeah, but then the problem is because of my shade, I managed to get rid of all of his might, barring Gambling's one, and then Théoden and Deerwine, whichever one was next to him.
Right.
Managed to they got might back at the end. So then all of his Rohan was out of might, except those 3 and the one that couldn't charge in first turn.
Right.
So I was broken, but he was sort of, for Rohan, very limited on might then. And my Birder and my Witch King, and my Birder hadn't been in combat yet.
Right.
So he was stonked up. But the shade was now on 1 wound because he got straight through and tried to kill it. And then victory. And the a moral victory. And the Witch King had been dehorsed as well because they got through to a Witch King through that line.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we knew that that the round was potentially going to end on the second turn.
Because you roll for it, don't you?
Yeah. So then Birder then got in. Birder then got into combat then for the second time.
Yeah.
He then started capturing objectives around the sides, and I'd already got the 2, but it hit me. But neither of us had the one in the middle.
Right.
And then so second time, I think I'd called another heroic combat with Gullivar and Birder. I think my Witch King was sort of trapped by 2 heroes, so Birder just picked up Aemir and threw him into the combat. Dehorsed Théoden, obviously Aemir, and then Gambling all at the same time. So just didn't have any heroes there. And then my Witch King was already sort of looking in trouble, so I didn't mind him falling over again.
I'm not sure. Defense 8, so he's probably fine.
Exactly. So yeah, and then Gullivar did what Gullivar does best, and then went and ate whatever was left.
Nom.
Exactly. So he killed Théoden. I think Aemir was then just the only hero left in that tangent. I think with one guard.
Yep.
Anyway, so and that was it. So then next turn came along. Also, the game that didn't end.
Which you wanted it to.
Yeah, which I
well,
wanted it to.
You'd won.
It would have been 4-3.
Right.
To me. Anyway, next turn came along. I ganged up on Aemir, whatever riders was left, and he had sort of a squad of 3 going round the sides to get to my back objective, which I'd held a Spectre with. Anyway, the problem is I then called a move to get the jump on everybody with Birder, and that but then I didn't get it. But then that sort of cost me my might. I then thought I had one left to call heroic combat off to then get Gullivar to go and get another objective, but it didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't notice or didn't plan. So I was like, oh dear. So I didn't have that might I needed. But anyway, so then he then got 2 more objectives than me.
Right.
Or he had 3 objectives via 2, and this time, despite him only having 3 models left, the ones running around the side, he ended. So it was 7-6 to him.
Oh mate, that's so unlucky.
I know. But then we sort of said that after that it was sort of me. Then I would have then snowballed because I still had all of my heroes left.
That's the only turn he could have won it.
Yeah, the only turn he could have won it because I had all my heroes left. Gullivar's going to go and eat day wine and everything else, and everyone else can go grab the objectives and things. So
should have been a 12-0.
Well, no. So so even Kieran and Steve, it was a good game. We both enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the luck of the dice, and that particular dice was with him.
So to go to Sam, I know we might have to have a cut and let you guys go off and charge Tom's phone. What, what is it specifically in that scenario that because that's what he asked. What is it that you tried to do? I guess you answered it by going through how the scenario went, etc., etc. But if you're playing that scenario, what do you think is important if you know you're going to play it, which we obviously didn't? What do you think is important for your list to have? And is there anything you would have done differently in your games to try and win the scenario? I mean, yours was just purely out of almost just unlucky, really.
Yeah,
the game ended the second turn, you won. And unfortunately, as you said, you just ran out of might in the third or fourth turn. So you couldn't quite cap the objective quick enough.
No, well, I could have. I think I could have got a draw because I wouldn't have killed Théoden, but I then would have. But I could have gone and jumped on the objective with Gulliver. But I sort of was then. Was banking on the next turn and that heroic combat, which I then didn't go off because I forgot about my might.
Rookie.
So I thought, and then obviously gets rid of the bodyguard with all the right hand roller guards. So then he's broken. They're more likely to run away and stuff. And obviously and the last time me and Kieran played each other was also capture and control. And we went on for about 20 odd turns, like it just never ended. So I was sort of thought it might be another rerun of that.
Right.
So I thought we'd have another 20 turns for me to be able to win. But but I think in that particular scenario you need some guys with shields so you can shield away from the objectives if you're stuck over there, because you can have 5 guys on you and you be on the objective and you shield them off, you've got that objective.
Yeah.
Also you need some cavalry or some pace models like with fly or something to get round and maybe snipe their one that they've had at the back. That's always handy.
Yeah, because generally people, I mean, whenever I've played that scenario, I will put some form of archers on my back one, and then I'll deploy the rest of my army kind of towards the middle 2, in the hope that I can then bring my whole army together on their one, and then try and get them all basically. Yeah. Doesn't always work. I've only played the scenario 2 or 3 times. I don't get to play often enough, really. So, if you listen to me for Tactica, it's not always solid. But yeah, no, I think you just a bit unlucky in that one. And Tom maybe curses list building skills.
Yeah, definitely. It was just not cutting my losses, really. I thought Serpent Horde, it's all about getting them poison weapons, making the most of them, and I should have probably acknowledged the game mode more than what my list was good at. I
always say this, Tom. Play the scenario.
I know, but you take the toys for a certain reason, so I wanted to have fun with the toys doing what they do.
I mean, sometimes again, you just play to have fun, right? You're not always trying to win every game. So
I'm definitely not planning to win every game, which is just as well to be very disappointed. But it was little things as well that Johnny did well with using the terrain and making sure he was right up against it, so I couldn't get round the side of him, and he just controlled the board so well. So I think the starting position was massive in that.
Yeah. Okay, 1 second. Before we go on to scenario 2. Hi guys, sorry about that. A brief technical interlude whilst Tom and Cameron sorted out their
recording devices.
So the audio may be slightly different. They're going to be a little bit louder. I suggest when they talk, you tone it down a little bit, and when I talk, you can go back to normal. However, it might be a bit awkward. Maybe just turn it all down a little bit, and I'll try and speak a little bit louder, and then those guys, because they're now sharing a microphone, will be a little bit louder. We left off as we were about to go into game 2, which I believe was Whole Ground. And Cam, you're going to start?
Oh, yeah. So my whole ground was against Dimitri. And I think because the way it worked was no one had got a draw, and there was good side that had got 7 wins or something like that, and evil side had got 6. So I was playing, because I got the most victory points out of the losses, I was sort of playing up for the winners. So he'd won his previous game. But anyway, so yeah, whole grounds, and he was using his evil, I was using my good. So like I said, Paths of the Dead, and he had a Mordor list, which had the Witch King with crown on a horse. He had Shagrat with shield and heavy armor, and a shaman. And then he had normal orcs and Morannon orcs. He did try and explain at the start that there was a smattering of different ones. Try to explain at the start like which ones are which, because some were Morannons that were orcs and some were orcs that were. It was a bit confusing, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
We managed to, but he sort of said at the start, and then he sort of used different dice throughout the game. But yeah, so with the Maelstrom, I won the priority, which you never really want. So I sort of deployed one corner. I didn't have to use any. I think I used Aragon's free might on his warband, and he just went with the king. I think the king came on like an east one, and so Aragon came on the north one or something like that. And then so they joined together in the corner.
Okay.
And then he then came on. I think he got Guritz on.
Solid.
For the +1 and -1.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Guritz as well. FYI.
Well, I assume so, unless
a
wild Guritz appeared.
Yeah. So used him, and then used him. But I think he rolled like 2 2s. I think for Shagrat's warband and for the Witch King's warband. So he was just putting them down to 1, so he didn't have to use any might, and he could get them on later turns.
Makes sense.
Anyway, so basically what happened was we both ended up in the middle. And I remember my first round of combat, because I got into walked closer and I managed to flank on one side, except despite with Aragon's banner and joint fight value, I managed to only win 1 combat out of about 10 and then failed to kill that orc.
Nice.
So it's one of those ones where you're like, oh, this game's not going to go well for me if I'm doing this. And later on, Aragon then got in, heroic combated. So he's facing off against the Witch King for the heroic move off next turn, and calls heroic move. I got the heroic move, my priority, so I didn't call with me. I then proceeded to roll a 1/1 to charge the Witch King. So
Aragon's courage 6.
yeah. So Aragon's courage 6 and -1 to the king.
Right.
And I didn't have any will left because I'd been resisting spells, and so then I was like, oh dear, so now my heroic doesn't even go off because it didn't go with me because my priority, and I thought I'd cancel his because his was Witch King.
Yeah.
So then he managed to do his with the Witch King. So that was a bit of unluck there. But anyway, so we exchanged blows across the board, and I managed to break him without being broken.
Nice.
And at the end, it came down. He rolled the dice, and it finished the first time of asking. And in the middle, I had 15 of my models, 1 just outside, and he had 16 models in the middle. So, but because I had broken him, I got 3 being unbroken, and because he had more models in the middle by 1, he got 3, so it was a draw, 3-3.
Oh, that's right, yeah, because I remember you coming over to me and saying that I drew 3-all, and I was like, what? Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But it was one of those things. My dice had started to wake up, and I'd started mowing through his, but he was getting lucky with his dice. Like he had a red dice and a green dice, and his red dice were being the Morannons, the green dice were being the orcs, and the red dice kept getting the 6s and killing my models.
So and you need to check them red dice, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on, I did the same.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
Yeah, that was just other way around. Then he's got to get a 4+ with that, with the game, with that dice after. But so that was my game. That was my game too.
Interesting. So 3-all. So you're on a 6-5 loss and a 3-all draw.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So 7-6 loss and a 3-all.
7-6 and a 3-all draw.
Yeah, I've got a loss, a draw, and I'm 1 point under.
Right.
Cam's pedigree is very disappointing.
Come on now, I'm not a good player. We all know that.
You were good in that one event last year. You smacked everything.
He won a couple last year. Now he's playing it down.
I'm mid-table. I'm a mid-table player.
Me too, mate. It's the lists that carry me. What was your game? Well, we know it was whole ground, and you were using your evil army. No, good army now, Tom, right?
I was. Yeah,
actually, you were playing my hero of the week.
I was playing.
He stepped in on Wednesday, and I had to lend him an evil army. It wasn't optimized. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't optimized. It was Gothmog on Wild with Shield. 7 Morannons with shield, 7 Morannons with spear and shield, 1 Orc Warrior with banner spear shield, Shadow Lord, again 7 Morannons with shield, 7 Morannons with spear and shield, and then an Orc Shaman with a Mordor Troll. So not incredible, but not awful. It was literally what I had in my case. So that's kind of what I thought. Well, he's got a decent hero in Gothmog. He's got a little bit of reliable magic in the Shadow Lord. It also helps against shooting because it's the Shadow Lord, and then he's got a big monster to sort of throw things around. And of course, Tom's hard counter was Radagast, Squire, and 2 Eagles.
3 Eagles.
3 Eagles. Sorry. I think the start of that game actually, it looked because I was helping Stefan because he never played the army before, and I said to Tom prior, if you don't want me to, I won't. But do you mind if I just tell him a few little things because he's a new player and he literally never played Mordor before. And Tom, to his credit, he did let him do that. Did let me do that. Nothing. I didn't tell him specifically what to do. I just told him what his stuff could do, and then he made the decisions himself. Obviously, playing the game for him, it might have been a bit different, but that wasn't what I was. That wasn't what I was doing.
It would be different.
Yeah, not a lot different, to be fair, because there's only so much you can do against that. It's a hard scenario to win and lose. It obviously depends on how your dice go. And I watched the first, but then Tom might have played it completely differently if it was me playing the list anyway. So you can't really tangent. You can't really say X, Y, Z, A, B, C. It could have been a completely different game. So, but fair play to Stefan because he's never used the army before, as I said, and I think he actually played it really well.
He did do a lot of things well, and he as well. He got my most sporting vote because he was really enjoyable to play.
Yeah.
It didn't matter whether his Morannons were getting thrown all over the place or what. He really, I think he enjoyed the game too, and it was definitely play. But yeah, like I say, he's come from Sigmar, so very different. Never used Mordor. He wants to use Easterlings, and they're very different armies as well.
I think he actually got a win with the Mordor list in his 4th game. Yeah. So.
I feel better now then.
Yeah, you'll explain why you felt better after you've told everyone what happened. But yeah.
I mean, so it started off with he actually won priority, which he didn't want, but managed to deploy all of his army together. I think it was north, all on the north side, and pretty standard straight line really, with the Shadow Lord kind of behind and Gothmog sort of down one side, and deployed well. I think you were there at the time, which probably helped. When it came to my deployment, he kind of tried to put me as far away as he could, and mad rush to the middle, which probably wasn't the best thing to do because he
would have deployed you closer.
Yeah,
but
he had the opportunity to. Michael hit one of the war badges, just go here and 1 eagle, and he had the opportunity to deploy that where he wanted because I wasn't going to might it. I needed to keep it. Yeah. Instead of him deploying it right behind him and surrounding me, he put me the other side of the board, which gave me time to regroup.
Again, he hadn't played. Wasn't aware of Fury, and because had I had that same opportunity, I would have put you behind me. Had Shaman pop Fury, just send everything at you. Yeah. Hopefully kill both of those, and then I'm looking at a Raddy and another 2 Eagles.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is still scary. Don't get me wrong, but it's a lot more manageable with 30 Morannon Orcs. So
especially with whole ground.
Yeah. But anyway.
Or domination, I can't remember now.
It was whole ground.
You threw this up 4 times.
I know, I keep going. I mean, it was basically I was just getting around one side of him. He had his shaman on one side of his army, and then the other side was shamanless, really, and the Shadow Lord was over with the shaman. So it was a pretty good opportunity for me to take that side of his army. He called a move with Gothmog early doors, but couldn't charge me because he kind of deployed all scattered, worried about moved all scattered, worried about the hurl.
Yeah.
And not wasted, but used the point of Gothmog's might to get a troll into an eagle when Gothmog himself couldn't get in. So he had a troll charging Gwahir, which is the one big flappy thing he loses on fight value to. So
Okay, a little bit of naivety on Stefan's part, maybe in that regard.
he actually justified it quite well in that he thought the troll would last a couple of turns. By that point, he'd be in the middle, and would hope that the game ended at the right time.
I think there was definitely to stop cutting you up. There was definitely some solid theory behind what Stefan was trying to do. Obviously, he just never played the army before, and had he kept everything within range of the shaman, that army works very well in a big block. That's kind of what he's good at. So obviously, if you've never played it before and you don't know, then fair enough. But it also, counter to my own argument, having 4 flying monsters kind of ruins big blocks. So maybe he had it right and I'm wrong. But yeah,
I mean, he definitely had some good ideas, but just army experience told really. So I mean, it took a couple of turns to get rid of the troll, but by that point you kind of had a Gothmog and a load of Morannons, and there wasn't a Fury bubble to help. So Gothmog got pretty exposed. I didn't kill him. I decided to hurl him away and worry about him later.
Didn't he pass 9 courage tests one round?
Yeah, very first turn, he got in so many Morannons. It was obscene. I think there was one that didn't get in.
Crazy.
2 dice, I still managed to get a 6 every time. I mean, he was so unlucky with priority throughout. I've never had so many priorities, and then when it came to rolling with 2 dice, I was getting a 6 every time. It felt really unfair. It felt horrible.
Sometimes when the dice go like that, you do feel a little bit bad.
And then it was just, I mean, towards the end, as he was getting closer to being 50%, it kind of made my way to the middle and barged him back and took the opportunity to hurl and get him down to the 50 weight.
Played the scenario.
Yeah, played the scenario, which with that army isn't always easy.
No, it's definitely a difficult. I mean, it's definitely not an easy matchup. 30 plus models versus 5, albeit they're all flying monsters and Raddy's on his bunny sled of doom. But yeah, it's still a difficult matchup. Even if sorry, go on.
That's right. And if you do get to the middle, like you will get there first if you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, later in the game, when you do get to the middle and you can barge them back, you've then got a line which is God knows how many inches long. And if you space there's a slight gap in between, and the Morannons, they are going to fail courage tests when the shaman's gone. So I mean, he never really had a chance from when the shaman went. Although actually, right at the end, Gothmog appeared again, and I kind of forgot about him when I sort of left him to save him for later, and he nearly sort of forced a narrower defeat, but it ended up being a 12-0 with 1 Morannon left on the board.
It did kill an eagle, though.
It did kill an eagle in 1 turn, actually. It went down to a load of Morannons.
Stefan.
He did take the eagle down, which he enjoyed. But it was it didn't actually reflect a 12-0 either. The dice were massively in my favour. I mean, 2 dice eagles rolling 6s probably every turn for the first couple of rounds felt horrible.
Bless him. So we've done that. Game 3 was Assassination.
Oh yeah.
And Tom had his Tom with his I've got Guar here for Assassination.
Honestly, driving to the event, so excited. You have Raddy on there, and you have Guar here as your assassin. I was so excited to play this one. And then I'm either playing what was the other list? Grey Company. So I think it was
seven model Grey Company
against Serpent Horde or Smaug against Raddy. And he rolled to have Smaug.
Arguably, the Grey Company list wasn't awful either. It's just very hero heavy. So
I would have liked that one. I would have had a chance.
You probably got away with just using all that shooting you had.
Yeah, definitely. Would have had time as well.
Yeah.
You
got to play against Smaug though. I've never got to play against Smaug.
I feel so bad for you.
An assassin.
Fair. If I had 36 dice needing 5s, I definitely would have rolled at least 12.
It was unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to be honest, at the beginning, I didn't really know what to do.
You used all your 6s up game 2, mate. That's what it was.
You had Smaug just sat there waiting, and I sort of burnt night with Radia. I held Gwahir back, just trying to, I don't know, wait. Sacrificed Raddy's sleigh. I knew that he'd have to charge Smaug in to get Raddy off his sleigh because it was a lot of dice. And that gave me the chance to hold him up with the other eagles, which don't go down easy, even to Smaug.
No.
I think at the beginning, actually, Gwahir wounded Smaug before he wounded any of mine. So I had a temporary lead anyway. Then it was basically who got priority after we burnt through
all the might went fairly quickly, didn't it?
So quickly, yeah. Trying to get the immobilise off and some early wounds. And it was basically 3 dice immobilise. Whoever gets it first, he'd immobilise Raddy, so I couldn't immobilise him.
Yeah.
And I'd immobilise him, obviously. And I mean, yeah, it was down to 11. It was down to 11 wounds, and I had everything still on the board except for Raddy's sleigh. It was just Raddy himself.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was looking like an unlikely win was on the cards. And like I say,
I've watched the whole game and I was like, oh, right, he's going to pull it off.
Yeah.
Because it was a very difficult matchup for both of you, really. I think it's a pretty good counter to Smaug, is Raddy on sleigh, Gwahir and 3.
Well, here's fight 8 was matching Smaug. So
yeah,
while he was there, I had a chance with the roll-offs. But yeah, I think it was when he was down to 11 wounds, I had he rolled 4 high in the dual roll, and I was winning it. And I had 36 dice or something crazy over a few turns where I rolled about 3 or 4 5s and only took him down to 7 wounds. And then his dice warmed up, and 1 eagle, 2 eagle, Gwahir went, and that was it, really. That's all she wrote.
One eagle, 2 eagle win.
Well, that was literally it. One turn, it was 1 eagle. I was like, oh, unfortunate. Next turn, it was like the other eagle. I was like, that's unfortunate. And then it was, I'll finish off Gwahir now. It's like, it's looking difficult for you, mate.
I got lucky though. I think he kind of was who was it? Was it Sam?
Sam Page, yeah.
Who I don't know if he was being remorseful or he didn't kill Raddy. He was focused on killing all the birds instead. So I didn't get as heavy a defeat as I could have. Raddy kind of survived when I probably would have targeted him and left the last eagle.
Was it 25? I can't remember. Is it 25% that scenario, or is it
leader as well?
Yeah, I think it's 20.
That was the first time I played it. I think it was.
My book's
downstairs. I think it was breaking leader, and then like if the hero or the died that you need to assassinate, then you got points. But if your assassin assassinated the hero, then you got more points.
Right.
I think the moment of the game was definitely the very first combat when Raddy was still on his sleigh, because I rolled for 3 eagles and Raddy on sleigh.
Right.
None of them got a 6, and then I kept Sebastian's dice separate, and the hedgehog came with a 6 and won me the fight.
Right.
Which got me the first wounds of Gwahir.
Best 5 points you've ever spent, mate, Sebastian.
I've ever spent.
But you actually can't physically wound.
But yeah, then he couldn't actually strike him. So
I didn't need to. He done what he needed to. So yeah,
I can't remember what the loss was in that one. I think it was quite a narrow one in the end, because I wounded Smaug with Gwahir, so got a few points for that. He killed Smaug with. They killed Gwahir with Smaug and broke me.
Maybe 6-2 or something. I don't know. I can't remember. I haven't got the scenario to hand.
I think it was 7 for assassinating the assassin with your assassin, right. And then the breaking the leader.
Yeah.
So
maybe
10.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or less breaking.
I thought it was 8 for some reason. I thought it was 8-2, but it doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, the dragon's good.
I mean, it should be for 700 points, mate.
Yeah, it should.
How did you get on, Cam?
Well, so I played Chris.
You played Chris Dan?
No.
Christoph.
Is it Christoph? He had the mummock.
Yes, Christoph, yeah.
Stuff. Oh yeah, because because I've played him before. Whenever I see him, or whenever I go to put his name on
Yeah,
the
he is known as Chris, but there was a lot of Chris's, so
yeah, no, he always just goes, just put down Chris, and I'm like, okay,
yeah, Chris with a K.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, anyway, so
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not important. We're just it's not. It's Christoph if you're looking at the spreadsheet for results, but yeah, go on. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Do that,
There you go. Christoph then. Yeah, I suppose play Chris.
To him as Chris going forward. It's just so people know. Sorry.
Chris with a K.
Yeah.
And he had a Mumuk with the war dude at the top, and with 12 Watches of Kana or with Bo in the Howder, and then he had a Suladan with 5 or 6 riders, and then 6 fatties as well.
Yeah, not a bad list.
Yeah, so yeah, and he's never used a Mumuk before. I've come across them a few times. I really don't like playing Mumuks.
Yeah.
The Howder is dirty though.
Yeah. But anyway, I haven't played any of the new scenarios, haven't read them or anything. Just haven't got around to it yet. And I don't think he had played it or anything. So you came around with this sheet and we were both sort of looking at it going, Then we had a few questions because because I was playing my good, so obviously the king had to be it. And then we're like, so what happens with the Beastmaster at the top? And I
don't know if I ruled this correctly, but more knowledgeable people, if you are listening to this, I said technically when the Mumak's in combat, it's the Mumak killing things, not the Beastmaster. So if the Beastmaster had to be his assassin, which it did because Suladan was his leader, he would have to dismount the Beastmaster from the Mumak to get the kills.
Yeah, so that's I think we asked Sam Page this as well, and he agreed. He's run many a tournament, but obviously this is a new scenario, so we didn't know how this was going to get ruled and stuff. So, but Chris was obviously fine with that. He was like, that makes sense. I would have been, I wouldn't have minded whichever way it got ruled, as long as it felt right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
But obviously it was one of those things where I couldn't get the king, he couldn't get the king with his Beastmaster, so we're both like, well, that seems.
Technically, had he left the Beastmaster up there, neither of you would have got any assassination points, but he could have just broken you and killed your general.
Stuff,
Could have run him off the board.
Could
have wounded the Mumuk, got him off the board, and that would just.
Oh yeah, well again, I don't know what that would have done if I stampeded him off. But now I'm not killing him, am I? He's then off the board. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting. For me, it was like, this is such an awkward scenario to pop up in this scenario. But I think I got it right anyway. So. Well, I'm sure it might come up again at maybe a different event, and we might see a ruling on it somewhere. But I'm sure people can comment below on what they think was right or wrong. But anyway, I'll talk about the game. So basically, I sort of ran up because he's got all the shots. I have no shots for my dead, and then he ended up marching the beast straight into Aragon, taking away sort of 7 dead on the way in. He did have to spend a few might points to kill those dead, where he hadn't got the 4 fours I think he needed for my defense 8 guys. Yeah.
Anyway, straight into Aragon. And then I sort of swamped him with the dead because obviously they're courage 6. So I swamped all my guys in, a few courage tests here and there. He then had Suladan come and charge in as well, but because of the terrain, he could then only get 1 other rider in, and I sort of blocked up that, and he had some fatties coming behind to eventually get in.
Did you manage to get the king in on the Mumak?
Pardon?
Did you manage to get the king in on the Mumak?
So then my king then went into the Mumuk. One turn of combat, I'd taken 8 wounds off because the king takes away half, and then I got 3 normal ones.
Right.
With my guys obviously striking coverage. Does
the king not kill it outright?
We don't think so. I think it's things that have.
Is it over 5 wounds or something like that?
Yeah, because he's got 10 wounds. He takes away half.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that FAQ somewhere? I must have missed that.
I'm pretty sure.
I've read it somewhere, haven't
Yeah, we said if we did it wrong, but I believe that it takes away half wounds and stuff because of his blade. So he takes away 5 and then 3 for the guys. Anyways, but then the next turn he has to roll for each one for the courage tests. Anyways, he's passing the way and he gets number 7 and he does a me and he rolls a double 1. So I then get to take control of it next turn. So I win priority and I just back him up straight into the fatties that were behind it.
Nice.
And I squish all of them because that's one less problem to deal with. Aragon jumps up, charges headlong into the Mumbook along with a bunch of other dead models.
Yep.
And then combat's come. I call her combat with Aragon. Kill the Mumbook.
Right.
And then everything falls from the Mumbook and dies except the Beastmaster person. So we then ran over to you and
you gloated.
Well, I didn't. No. I ran over to see.
He did not gloat.
I didn't know because so we'll say if you to call a heroic combat over someone on a horse and kill the horse, you don't get to move on, do you?
No.
So I came over as like I've killed the Mumbook, but the Beastmaster alive. Like, can I move on because obviously the rider of it is still alive, so I wasn't. But obviously, and then you and Sam Page both agreed that I could still move on. So I've done it. So obviously now the Beastmaster. So obviously my target is now prone on the floor. And my king has now got to move straight into a pro model. So he went into them and shanked him. And then Aragon went into Suladan and shanked him.
Nice.
So then Christoph sort of shook my hand after that and was like, well done, buddy.
I wonder why.
Yeah. And was like, well, that's game. I'm 25%ed and you got the win.
That was 12-0.
And that was a 12-0. Yeah. But his models looked awesome. He's a very good painter.
Yeah, I think he got a lot of votes for best painted single miniature for the MAC. I think he had at least 3 or 4. So, decent.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Well deserved.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
Yeah. That gave me one and everything. Gave me the Beragond.
Win the draw the last.
Yeah. Draw. 1-1-1.
Gave me the Beragond. I've not heard that before.
Or the Damrod, whichever one you want.
All the Damrod. So game 4, Tom, you're on 2.
I'm on 2 losses,
1
win. Yeah.
Cam's on all the ones, and the last scenario was Storm the Camp.
It was where a Serpent Horde army was supposed to be facing a mounted Rohan army, but we had to swap opponents actually, me and Cam, because he'd already played Dimitri. So I went from facing a load of horses I could take down with some bows to a Círdan, a Glorfindel, and a Sildor. So it was interesting.
Like literally a really themey sort of Rohan Harad match off to some extent. Obviously, there's no Mumax, but it's still somewhat themey. And then you go to Blinding Light, 2 really good heroes. That's tough. That's tough. And you were playing friend of the channel. Cam was playing friend of the channel, Mr. James Richardson.
I was, yeah.
He has to get his plug every time. It's a running meme at this point, and I'm going to go with it. I enjoy it. As you said, you were playing. Tom was playing the Isildur, Glorfindel, Círdan, and you were playing Theoden. No gambling. You did have Dernhelm, which is the Eowyn Merry profile, and Derwine.
The one with the big shield.
That's the captain one. I think it's Derwine. I can't remember all their names, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think he had many Royal Guard, did he? If any.
He had a few. He did have a few in there. But then I think he had lots of warriors.
It's not like Cheaty Kieran's version where he just spams all the heroes and Royal Guard.
Yeah, build sort of more warrior heavy rather than hero heavy.
Yeah, so he had a few more numbers, but maybe lacked a bit of killing power in that regard. But yeah, so Storm the Camp. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Where you go, mate?
So yeah, it was my Serpent Horde against Dimitri's Isildur, Last Alliance type list with Isildur, Glorfindel, and Círdan.
Yep.
It was pretty clear early doors he was playing the old Storm the Camp tactic of he wasn't going to budge an inch from his camp.
So he just set up his wall,
He just
put
set
up
up
his
his
blinding
wall.
light.
Yeah, and sat there. And at this point, obviously, I've got 2 losses and 1 win, and I'm pretty sure I'm mid-table at best. So I thought,
I
solid,
guess,
I'll go in.
was any of his heroes mounted?
Glorfindel.
And I guess the issue is if he commits and you have some cavalry models, which I know you did.
Yeah.
Did he have a lot of shooting or?
He had a few. Yeah, he did have he had a few bows. He only probably had sort of 7 or 8 bows, not loads.
And I assume Suladan was on a horse as well.
He was.
So I guess the issue is if he overcommits in the middle when you manage to get round with all your cavalry, you'll probably take his camp.
Yeah.
I always find Storm the Camp, again, I need to be quick on this one. I always find Storm the Camp, it can be played in, especially at that point in the tournament, you just be like, sod it, let's just have a game and see what happens. But there's no knocking, I'm not knocking Dimitri, obviously you play the game how you want to play the game. But for me, I'll be like, all right, sod it, I'll just fight you in the middle and see what happens. But there is tactics to it, and that is a viable tactic. Is just to, if you, especially with the models he had, you know, he completely negates your shoot, not completely, but it makes your shooting almost null and void because of blinding light. He also has aura of dismay.
Yeah.
So again, you know, it hurts your low courage army when trying to charge his combination of strength 4 and fight 5. So it's a very viable tactic. It's just maybe at that point in the event, I would probably just, you know, try and have a little fight and see what happens. But hey ho, each to their own.
Yeah.
I think I've played Storm the Camp a few times now, and I've never. You hear it spoke about people sit back in the camp, and I've never seen it before, so it was very strange. But in a way, it kind of presented a nice challenge, like because it's not the sort of thing I want to do because it feels more defensive than aggressive.
I guess the thing is though, if you know they're going to do that, you just fully commit, right? You can probably leave like 2 spearmen back there or whatever just in case, and then just fully commit to. You've got March with Suladan. What's the Goldington got for heroics?
I think the only one he's got is a resolve or something. He's not got anything good anyway. He's pretty fancy.
So so you've got March, you've got some cav, you can get across the board, you've got good numbers. Maybe just try and break through, I guess.
Yeah. The issue I had was I thought if I throw all my army forward, he's going to be shooting at me with the bows he has got on the way in, which will probably take the horses.
Yeah.
And then he's got a 12-inch moving Glorfindel to mop up the couple of things left in the camp.
True.
So I felt like I had to leave a few more back. So it kind of went, I had 2 Haradrim Raiders and 2 Serpent Riders with Suladan going the length of one side of the board. And then I had all the fatties and the Serpent Guard with the Golden King going up the other side of the board, trying to hide behind the train that was there.
Right.
And right down the middle was the trail of his shooting guys trying to sort of pressure him to come out, getting enough 6s. Because when I do hit, I'm re-rolling. So, and the elves aren't exactly that high defense. But it didn't really pan out like that because he would shoot at the fatties and they would go down pretty easy.
Right.
And then Glorfindel managed to get in on the Golden King and he killed him in 1 turn.
Yeah.
It kind of fell apart a bit from then. I eventually got Suladan in, but then you had Isildur with the ring. And oh no. And it just spiraled from there. I managed to keep my camp, and at one point I did have more models in his camp than he did.
Right.
But as all of his troops came back into his camp, he broke me and made pretty light work of them, to be honest. He made a mad rush for my camp at the end of Glorfindel, but there was about 5 watchers kept back, so he couldn't get to them all. He'd used all of his might and couldn't combat to kill them. So he got the win by breaking me and killing Suladan.
Probably 5-0 or something.
Yeah, I should have
knowledge of scenarios.
Yeah, I could have either sat back and played my opponent rather than the game mode, or like you said, got everyone stuck in and hope the dice are in my favour.
I mean, it's hindsight's 2020, but
Yeah.
in that scenario, yeah, he could have ran round with Glorfindel, but then if you took his camp and killed everything, then you probably still win, right? But if he just had Glorfindel left and you, it's a tough one. But I mean, you learnt from it, and that's probably more important. So
Yeah. I mean, it's probably another one where just having some like chieftains would have been useful for just using March for them, so you could save Sullodans for other things, and then I'll be right in his face a lot quicker. Whereas Golden King against that army pretty much offered nothing at all, other than a banner, which when you lower fight was not that useful.
I managed to get a Harad King sort of mounted off of eBay, which obviously in the latest FAQ they got a little bit better because they can lead 15 models, and they're 5/5. So it's definitely going to be a addition to Suladan and some Haradrim Raiders when I get all of them painted up and whatnot.
Yeah, I think that would have been a much better option for this game mode for sure. So yeah, that was another loss. It felt like the game modes I had for my armies, I really wanted them the other way round over the course of the day. Once the Eagles played, I wanted to be Serpent and vice versa.
It's always the way when you have good and evil. Unless you've built two. The issue as well of random scenarios, I enjoy it because it means that you have to list build to sort of play. It's very difficult to list build for all 18 scenarios, admittedly. It is possible of having a really balanced, well-rounded list, but it is also very difficult. But yeah, I mean, and the 4 scenarios we actually ended up having, there was no Lords of Battle, there was no Domination, there was no well, what there wasn't because we've only played 4 scenarios and we've explained what they all are. But it's also like the 4 scenarios that don't maybe come up. We didn't play whole ground all last year in the league because the league was slightly different last year in that the scenarios, once they were drawn, they weren't used again at another event. So we would technically, over the course of the year, we would play all 12 maybe, but we only ended up playing 11 of the 12 because for the league finale they all went back into the pool. So yeah, we didn't actually play whole ground all year, which means you may not have got to play it. I don't like Storm the Camp. I think it's I'm not a fan of it. I think it's I don't know. I just think it's it can create a very negative game.
Yeah, and sitting back and shooting and not much dice to roll. It takes a long time to get anywhere.
It takes a long time, and it can be really negative if you have to commit because, I mean, I guess the argument is you both sit there and play a 0-0 draw, but that's not very fun. So we'll go on to your one, Cam, because we've only got I know you guys have got to go in a minute. So
yeah.
You play James with his Riders of Theoden.
Oh yeah, so I was versus Riders of Theoden. So I had, basically, so I think I had like 30 odd models. So I've got to try and get, my guys over there, and he's got to try and get over here. He ended up having about 3 rounds of shooting where he took 1 wound off Gullivar and took away 2 orcs. So dice weren't doing him any favors.
No.
So so he went to come and charge in. Anyway, I took away sort of a Gullivar charged in, Witch King charged in, pulled out a rider with Sight with my Spectres, then got Birder in, so then Birder had combat into Theoden. Killed 4. And then basically, eventually, he had only killed 6 orcs, and I won 20% to him. Gullivar's killed probably 10 of those by himself, combating and jumping everywhere. So Gullivar's now in his camp.
Right.
He's got Dale Wine and 3 riders. And
Oh, hello.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
In my camp, and then he's one off braking, and then I decide, instead of just taking the win, I thought I'd actually be the proper Angmar player and then try and do some sneakiness and try and get him out of my camp. So I ran my Spectres and my Witch King over
Right.
to do some black darting and some fell sighting out of my camp that are still alive.
Right.
So basically did all that. And so basically ran over. He then tried to run away his models, which he did manage to get run away one in the camp. I then black darted another one with the Witch King, who's now in the camp, and then managed to get a Spectre over to the camp and pull one of them out of the camp. So leaving him with Dale Wine in there and my Witch King in there, meaning he didn't have my camp at all.
You're a bad man.
A 12-0 win.
Fair play. So yeah, overall, a bit of a mixed bag. Tom went 1 and 3. Cam went 2-1-1. But both had a good time, hopefully.
Definitely.
Yeah, we both had a wicked time.
It was good, and just playing so many different armies was good, and so many new people. That's awesome. And I just think the East Anglia League has it just right for being gamey but being fun. Like, for me, the balance is perfect.
The level of I've had this discussion with quite a lot of people. The level of competition has definitely risen. Not to the point where it's GBHL 2.0. It's never gonna. I don't think it'll ever be that competitive, just because of like the rules packs and stuff. I think the people who are running events have got a good grip of what they want their event to be and how they want it to run. And obviously, if someone comes in with an absolute filth cheese list, they're like, "No, sorry, I don't want you to play that list." Which it's their event; they're more than entitled to do that. But yeah, I definitely think as you say, you've nailed it, and I'm rambling for the sake of rambling. But there's like a really good, even sort of balance between having really good players with good lists, but not being, and having like really good sportsmanship as well at the same time.
Yeah,
it's a really nice sort of balance. And you said it already, and I'm rambling for the sake of rambling. Very quickly, we've got like about 6 minutes. Oh, hello.
Oxfordshire way. So for us, it's like an hour and a half. But I'd much rather do that because the community is just so good. Like you say, the level is enough that it pushes you and you get better. Like in the I've been playing, I've got so much better. It doesn't sound like it based on this weekend. Although there's a moral victory because the 12-0 could get me to the finale. So
I mean, you say that, but you played lists that you've not played before. You played scenarios differently to how you've ever played them. I always think from an event, someone, I think I saw it on Twitter, you never take an L if you learn from the loss. So instead of losing, you're learning. And I always, for my first year, I played Gondor and I lost a lot. But over the year, I got so much better with my army because I just learned from every single game. If you can sort of really analyze how your game went and take notes, if you really want to improve, take notes, ask your opponent, what they think you could have done. And it's not patronizing. Most people will sit there and say, if they're a better player than you, they will happily, go through the game with you and say, listen, I think you maybe should have done this here. You could have done this here. Especially in the EAHC, if I ever beat someone, it doesn't happen as much now because everyone's getting better than me. But if I ever beat someone and they go, "Oh, Josh, what could I have done?" and I'd be like, "Listen, you could have done this. You could have done this." It's just about really knowing what your army does well, and then taking opportunities to sort of utilize those things. Really, I think we discussed the Minas Tirith CJ's question earlier. So we'll just quickly go through the other questions that are here. I think we've gone through the game, so we've we've kind of gone through Sam's question as well. Sam Palmer, that is. But Sam Huddy has asked, what's an army that you haven't got but are sorely tempted by? What is the allure and what is your favourite hero for that army and why? So it's quite a long question, actually, but we've got 5 minutes, so...
I mean, Cameron has every single army there is just under his bed unpainted in a box, so I don't know if he'll be able to answer the question. Maybe it's which army is he most tempted to paint? And actually,
I guess we could maybe go, in that case, what one are you prioritising first to get on the table?
Yeah, I did an inventory of my unpainted models, and I think I've got 800 plus unpainted models, sort of all sat under the bed, getting ready to paint. I moved out, and I moved out with all my Warhammer unpainted. Knowing full well only about 95% of those will be moving back out at some point unpainted still. But the current project is fiefdoms. Right. I'm like I said, I like Minas Tirith, and fiefdoms goes hand in hand with them. I think the knight are awesome.
I actually think that a fiefdoms Minas Tirith combo is very, very strong.
Yeah, no, I like the models. I like the clansmen. I like the hero. I like look at the heroes. Imrahil was really cool, and the knights look sick. So
aesthetically they're very pleasing, but they're also very good. So
I'm getting them painted up. They were meant to be done by sort of December. So I started them in about April time last year, and I think I painted about 10.
Battle Company ready, and that was it.
I was Battle Company ready, and that was about it. So maybe by the summer, maybe we're going to get back into painting again.
No one likes to paint when it's rainy and horrible. So, apart from Huddy, he paints an incredible amount of models every week. And you, Tom, quickly?
I've got a load of my hoods on the go. They should be done by the end of the month. It's just one band worth really to top up the Serpent Horde. So I'm kind of hoping that I can have a Serpent Horde army, which I'm slowly learning, and mix in Mahud 1 week and then Farharad, and then mix in Corsairs eventually as well.
Nice.
Just split between those really. But ones that aren't on the go, I'm always so tempted by Candish, just to see a load of chariots on the table. I think would be awesome. Just for looks really. And just again more variety. I like to bring more variety to tournaments with some of the lists that I will bring.
Sure. So for me, I'm currently working on my Corsairs and Serpent Horde. That's kind of the army I'm using at the moment. But I definitely would like to get a good army, whether it's revamp the Minas Tirith, because I do enjoy using them, even though I haven't used them for a little while. Or I don't actually own any other good armies anymore. I've got rid of them all. So maybe
that'd be
that's not true. I've got some. Actually, Tom Hawker sent me about 300-ish points worth of Khazad-dûm that he had just sort of sat in boxes and didn't need. So maybe I'll do a. I mean, that's not even the question. The question is what you would like to play, and then the hero why. I'm gonna Nick Cameron's answer. I think fiefdoms again for the same reason, but I just really like Imrahil. I hope he gets a new model. I don't dislike his model by any means, but I think that the Foot Knights of Dun Amroth, the new ones, look so good, and even the plastic ones look pretty good. I think Imrahil could do with a hero Forge World model.
Yeah,
I think he'd be really cool. And then very finally, very, very quickly, because I know you guys have got to go. I don't want Tom to get in trouble with his missus. Which is your favourite tournament style, good versus evil or blue on blue?
Before this weekend, it was good versus evil every day of the week.
Right.
Because that's just how the game is designed, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
After this weekend, I don't see anything wrong with blue on blue. Yeah, I think it adds more variety when you do play it like that. Again, blowing smoke up the EAHC's backside, but I think they do enough where it's good versus evil, and then enough where it's whatever you want.
Well, we kind of don't. We actually do. You can bring both or one. I think I probably prefer that just because it gives you the choice of two if you want. But if you do just want to play one list all year and really sort of again learn that list, and I think the issue people will say I'm wrong because of who's won the GT or who's won this and who's won that, blah 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 blah. I actually think that good lists are a little bit better than, or the legendary legions are definitely better. Obviously, Jasmine has just won the GT with the Urukai, or half of the GT because you play both armies, and I think certain good legions are just generally better. Riders of Theoden's really good. Rangers of Athelion at low points is incredible because there's just so much shooting. But I think a good combination of historical ally evil lists can sort of bridge the gap, which is, again, that's one of the lists that I'm currently using. And I've also considered, having the Harad Mordor combination because they're green also. So I think my favourite preferred tournament style is probably where you can take both or you can just take one. And then the only issue with that is if, obviously, if you take both, but then you only play opponents that only brought one all day, it's kind of pointless taking both.
Yeah.
Because you'll have to play the same art. So if you play,
but then you've then chosen your choice. If that makes sense. You then get to play your good versus evil like you wanted. If that makes sense, because you've wanted to play that.
No, I agree. I guess it's as much as it is, and it's just a little bit frustrating if you brought an evil, arguably if you bought a good list and you only play evil all day. What am I trying to say? It's
not the variety you want.
Yeah, it's not the variety you want.
Yeah, if you bring both, it's because you kind of hope that a lot of other people bring both, so you can actually play both. Otherwise, you could just bring one, and then the next event you just bring the other one, and that way you get to play with both lists, but at two different events. So
that would be. But I think the people that are bringing two lists are because they want to play good and evil.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter to them that they haven't played with their evil list all day and they've only played with their good. But
I know from. Oh, sorry, go on. I cut you off there.
Well, that's all right. Well, otherwise, I thought then they would do what you just said. They would use one list for one, and then another list for another, and that's how they get to play their lists that they want to play.
Yeah, maybe. I know I'd probably get a bit frustrated if I packed two armies and I only got to use one all day, but that's just because I'm getting old and I'm a bit miserable like that. So there is
that.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions. If you wanted a more specific answer, I'm happy to answer them in the comments. That's what the comments are for, interaction, algorithm, etc., etc. So big thank you to my guests for this evening, Cameron and Tom. Who's coming to the 350 point? We'll do a quick shout out. Are you both coming to the Sam's event in 2 weeks?
I was coming, but as with all the world, I'm actually a nurse. So with this coronavirus business, there's been a lot of change. So
sure.
I maybe am not. I've given my place up and I'm first reserve. So I'm hoping to be there, but not 100%, I'm afraid.
I should be there.
Oh, well. Maybe we'll
there?
get a game in Cam finally.
Yeah,
I'm there. I'm there.
Oh, nice.
It's 350. Can't be taking Rangers.
I might be lending to someone.
I've submitted both my lists, and I'll do what everyone else will do on Saturday or Sunday when they've all been submitted and Sam confirms that he's got them all. And I was like, yeah, I'm bringing this, guys. There you go. But yeah, that's it. So shout out to Sam for his event in 2 weeks. It is sold out. There is a reserve list. So if you want to attend, I know he just upped the allocation, I believe. It was 20 players. It's now 24, but they're all gone. So there is a few more on the reserve list because someone will drop out between now and then. It always happens. So once again, big thank you to my guests.
Thanks for having us, Josh.
That's all, mate. No problem. And we'll catch you all soon.